If you've checked a flight map recently, you may have noticed something unusual. Large parts of the Middle East suddenly look empty. Airlines that normally fly straight across the region are now taking long detours around it. So, what changed? Why are flights suddenly avoiding one of the busiest air corridors in the world? And what does this mean for airlines, passengers, and flight operations? In aviation, safety always comes first. When tensions or conflicts increase in a region, countries can restrict or completely close their airspace. This can happen because of potential missile activity, military operations, or simply because authorities cannot guarantee safe separation between civil and military traffic. When that happens, airlines immediately start rerouting flights to avoid the affected areas. Sometimes this happens overnight, and when multiple neighboring countries close their airspace at the same time, the impact can be massive. Normally, many flights between Europe, Asia, and the Gulf cross directly over this region. It's one of the shortest and most efficient routes. But when large sections of airspace become unavailable, airlines must find alternative paths. Instead of flying straight through, aircraft may have to go hundreds or even thousands of kilometers around the restricted areas. This means longer flight times, higher fuel burn, and more complex flight planning. But here's something interesting. The disruption is not the same everywhere. In some countries, flights have stopped almost completely. In others, operations continue, but only in limited and carefully controlled windows. Airspace availability can change rapidly depending on the situation, which means airlines and dispatchers must constantly monitor updates. Sometimes flights are allowed for a short period, and sometimes operations are paused again. This creates a constantly shifting operational picture. In situations like this, even a single open corridor can suddenly become extremely important. For example, Oman has remained one of the few relatively stable airspaces in the region. Because of that, traffic through the area has increased significantly. Some flights are now rerouting through Saudi Arabia and then continuing toward Oman before heading to their final destination. When multiple route options disappear, the remaining corridors quickly become much more congested, and that has real consequences. Flights to places like Muscat can suddenly become much more expensive, simply because the demand for those routes increases. But rerouting flights is not as simple as just drawing a new line on the map. Every change affects multiple parts of flight planning. Airlines must consider fuel requirements, alternate airports, crew duty limits, and available air traffic capacity. Longer routes also mean aircraft may need additional fuel stops or schedule adjustments. In busy situations, even the remaining open corridors can become crowded. Air traffic controllers must carefully manage spacing and traffic flow to keep everything safe. For passengers, the impact may appear in different ways. Flights may take longer than usual. Some routes may be delayed or canceled, and ticket prices can increase when airlines have fewer available route options. Even if your flight is not directly flying through the affected region, you may still feel the effects because global flight networks are highly interconnected. In commercial aviation, the goal is never just the shortest route. It's the safest one. And when the situation in the sky changes, flight paths change with it. Airlines will always adapt their routes to keep passengers and crews safe, even if that means flying hundreds of miles out of the way. Because in aviation, safety always comes first.